The spring air of April 1989 should have carried only the sweet promise of a fresh start. Standing before family and friends on her wedding day, Linda Kolkena slipped a hand onto her new husband's arm and whispered a plea that chilled the festive mood. She begged Dan to wear a bulletproof vest beneath his tuxedo. It wasn't a joke, nor was it harmless wedding day nerves. Linda was terrified. For years, she had lived in the shadow of a looming, vengeful ghost, Dan's fiercely embittered ex-wife, Betty. 7 months later, that haunting premonition would curdle into a horrific reality. The roots of this tragedy traced back years, tangled in deception and slow-burning resentment. While still legally married to Betty, Dan Broderick, a prominent and wealthy medical malpractice attorney, had begun a clandestine romance with Linda, a striking young former flight attendant. For 7 long years, the affair was kept tightly under wraps, but secrets have a shelf life. In 1985, Dan finally filed for divorce and moved out, stepping into what he hoped was a bright new chapter with Linda. For Betty, however, the world didn't just change. It ended. While Dan and Linda reveled in their newfound freedom, Betty descended into a spiral of unrelenting fury. The bitter divorce stripped away the high society life she believed she had earned after supporting Dan through medical and law school. What followed was an escalating campaign of psychological warfare. Betty flooded their phone lines with vicious, profanity-laced voicemails, driven by a fixation that consumed her waking hours. She repeatedly broke into Dan and Linda's home, vandalizing the interior and spray-painting hostile messages across the walls. In a terrifying display of lost control, she even drove her car directly into the front of their house, smashing through barriers to make her presence violently known. The relentless harassment cast a heavy, suffocating shadow over Dan and Linda's lives. Yet, they pressed forward, refusing to let Betty dictate their future. That resilience culminated in their April wedding, the very day Linda made her desperate prophetic request for armor. It was a stark, public confession of the terror they lived with, an acknowledgement that the psychological war zone they inhabited was nearing a boiling point. The nightmare reached its brutal crescendo in the pre-dawn hours of November 5th, 1989. As Dan and Linda slept peacefully in their bedroom, Betty used a hidden key to slip into the house. Moving through the quiet corridors in the dark, she entered their private sanctuary. In a flash of final, irrevocable vengeance, she opened fire, ending both of their lives in an instant. What began as an illicit affair had evolved into a high-stakes emotional battleground, ultimately sealing the fates of all 3 individuals. Linda's wedding day fears were no longer paranoia. They were a chilling glimpse into an unchecked storm of jealousy, betrayal, and rage that left behind a legacy of absolute devastation.